The Wild Man by Alex, read by Kate. It had been Petrok's turn for water the day the police came. They were in the hut clearing when he came back from the spring. Breathing hard from the carrying, he set the jerry cans down on the path and looked with flashing eyes at the threatening strangers in their identical clothes. 5 men and a woman, their faces set stony. 2 of the men sandwiched his father, pinning his hands behind his back. Petrok searched the familiar blue eyes and saw something new and unsettling in them. Now his eyes darted to where his brother stood, with the hand of the woman awkwardly upon his shoulder. In these young eyes he found only little brother appeal. He looked back to his father, whose expression changed minutely after their eyes reconnected. Something seemed to pass over forever in that change. And then, as hopelessness seeped into his chest, Petrok looked to the other 3 policemen, who were tensed for action. Petrok's dad had built the hut mostly from driftwood that washed up on the shore below. It stood among trees in a clearing of grass and wild flowers, with a vegetable patch away to one side in the shade of a giant ash. The clearing sloped gently towards the sea, before giving way to thick vegetation as the slope plunged steeply down to the shore. Rainwater ran off the tin and corrugated iron that made up the roof of the hut, along gutters and into a large metal tank. This water was only good for washing, and so every other day one of the boys carried the 2 freshwater containers along the sea path until a fork in the way which led to the spring. The narrow paths were of straw-coloured grass kept low by their passing, except for the wispy strands at the margins. Down at the spring, everything was a little more exotic, thanks to the always trickling water. Huge white-petalled flowers with yellow stamens took their chances in the gaps left by the verdant, large-leaf plants that ringed the oasis. The ground around the spring was spongy with moss which cradled the first can where Petrok set it down under the spout. The water sparkled in the sunlight, its first after a dark lifetime of underground purity. The can must have held 4 gallons, and it took a long while for the trickle to fill it. Petrok sat down on the grass to wait, leaning against a bank, and smiled as the wonders of the world poured in upon his open senses. First he heard the half-hearted waves breaking on the shore below, and then the hum of bees. They flitted from flower to flower, some just arrived and as yet unburdened, others with globs of pollen stashed at the end of each leg. Petrok followed the flight of one until it passed a motionless, soundless butterfly, sunning its open wings, fantastical patterns of red, white, orange and brown upon each in mirror image. He half felt, half sensed something on his knee, and looked down to see a grasshopper itching its feet. All at once he was attuned to the quiet, high-pitched thrumming of others as his listening consciousness changed focus. The one on his knee sprang away to wherever was next, and Petrok looked up through the greenery at the faultless blue sky. He'd known it would be a day like this from the moment he opened the little window by his pillow, as he did every morning. Now, against that deep blue sky, gulls soared and wheeled on invisible thermals, whilst a nearby hawk used them to hold still. Petrok watched the delicate fluttering of the splayed wing-tip feathers and felt a surge of the great harmony in his heart. The quietly rising tune of the water reached its highest pitch, and Petrok raised himself to switch the second can into place. A zephyr of wind found the sheltered glade as he did so, carrying the scent of honeysuckle upon it. He lay back down in the grass, felt the warm sun on his closed eyelids, and wondered what the day might hold. "Stay where you are, laddie," shouted the biggest policeman. "Don't you move."